Back some more at the track, at the wall. Gone! Home run. Marcus Semien will touch them all. And the Rangers have opened it up. It's a 3-run homer. And Texas now leads it 10-0. Sets, fires. Swing and a ball popped up. Foul ground, first base side, low near the dugout. He's got it, and that's the ball game. And the Texas Rangers have taken a commanding 3-1 lead in this World Series. They win it here 11-7.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you very much for joining us today on this Wednesday hump day, November 1st. We're done with October. November 1st. Birthday month. Let's go. Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty with Marco Marquez. Today on the show, a little bit of a flip-flop lineup. Taylor Twellman will be on the show at 7 o'clock at Nate's insistence. Find someone that loves you the way Nate loves booking Taylor Twellman on the show. Very aggressive. You know what? If you ever decide to wash your hands of on-air duty, I got a job for you booking this show. You'd be a hell of a producer. Very aggressive. You don't take no for an answer. You don't take ignored text for an answer. You keep pushing. Sometimes you don't take yes for an answer. Sometimes
persistence.
Sometimes you just don't take an answer.
Yeah. Be a soccer-heavy show, though, if I was producing, unfortunately.
Right.
So that probably wouldn't work.
Well, guess what, buddy? It is a soccer-heavy show with you co-hosting, so.
Well.
Taylor Twellman is a good guest to have on today, though. Why? Tell people why.
He is the lead analyst for MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, and he will be the analyst for the Sporting Kansas City versus St. Louis game coming up this weekend, the whole series between the two. And he's a native of St. Louis as well. So, hey.
That was Marco.
Marco, be nice. You be nice on this show. You understand me?
Sorry, I didn't get any candy last night.
So, I think for all those reasons, Taylor would be a very good person to talk to today.
That's at 7 a.m. Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com is at 7:30. Gary Barnett to talk college football at 8:05. Haley Lewis, host of Big 12 Football Weekly, at 8:30. Mike's got picks at 9:15 with Mike DePasquale. And then Buster Olney from ESPN, our baseball insider, had to change his day and time. And so a treat for the Wednesday listener at 9:30. Normally you have to listen a little bit earlier on Thursday at 7 a.m. to hear Buster Olney, but Buster will be with us at 9:30 to talk about the World Series, which is one Texas win away from ending after the Rangers win last night against Arizona. You can listen to the games, all of them right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. But the Rangers on Halloween beat the Diamondbacks 11-7, and that gives them a commanding 3-1 lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks, with a chance tonight in Phoenix to win the World Series with another dub, as the Rangers and Diamondbacks play first pitch at 7:03. And again, you can listen to the game right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. So the Rangers are almost the World Series champs. We'll find out if they win it tonight, or the Diamondbacks can extend the series by getting a win at home and heading back to Texas. So there it is. There's your World Series update. We'll talk more about that with Buster Olney at 9:30. So last night was kind of exciting. I was waiting around. No surprise here. Waiting around for the girls to get ready. All of them, all three of them. Because we're going to go over to some for a little family get-together for Halloween. And they got high school basketball tryouts all week for 2.5 hours every day, Monday through Thursday. So they're in the thick of it. And I was curious to see how they would, how much energy they'd have to want to go out and do Halloween things after 2.5 hours in the gym. And they were good to go. Little slow to respond, but they got home. They're getting ready. They're putting their costumes on. And yes, at 14, they still wore costumes and did a little bit of trick-or-treating. And we got a little bit of a late start, so we trick-or-treated around our house, and then we went to a different neighborhood. And then Julia wanted to continue past 9 p.m. I go, look, all the lights are off. There's no more kids out here. We didn't go that long because we went over. There was we went to a little party with some pizza, with some nachos, with some fun, and helped some people pass out some candy. A little family get-together, a warm family get-together. It was cold outside. I didn't know how long these kids – I didn't think after 2.5 hours of basketball practice they're going to walk around a lot. And Selena was done after 15 minutes, but Julie wanted to keep going. And then after she only trick-or-treated. She got a big bag full of candy after about, maybe 25 or 30 minutes out on the streets, hitting a couple neighborhoods. And then because she was not allowed to go past 9 p.m., because I don't want to harass people. People were closing up shop. What time do you close up shop for trick-or-treating?
9 o'clock sounds about right.
Right, I just feel like there's a certain time, okay, be courteous. She wanted to keep going. And so then at one point she announced, this is the worst Halloween of my life. I don't fill my bag. I said, just come on. And then 5 minutes later, she'd give me a hug. What's wrong? I want to go home. Oh, I thought you wanted to trick or treat. But it was fun. I was curious to see if there was still going to be some trick or treating with 14-year-olds, and they had a good time. Julia was the cow from Chick-fil-A and had a sign on her that said "Eat more chicken." And she made the sign, and Selena was Catwoman. So. I know you guys your family dressed up as Peanuts. It was the Snoopy gang, right?
Yep.
So,
that's, little Andy was Charlie Brown.
Right. And so there was fun to be had, but I'm sitting waiting for them to get ready for us to go to our little get-together. And then I look at my phone, and all of a sudden I say, oh, hold on here. In 10 minutes, we're going to see the college football playoff rankings. The first one released last night. That kind of caught me off guard because normally I don't care. That's just how it is.
Right.
Normally I don't care. Like, so, oh, hey, look. Hey, there's Alabama. Hey, there's Georgia. Oh, good. Ohio State's in it. Oh, that's great. Wow, Oregon. Whatever. But I was, I know think Mizzou's going to be in it. I don't know. And if, they go the whole top 25, and so we were going to see Kansas and Kansas State and Mizzou all together. And so that put a little bit of a different spin on it, more fun, I would imagine. And so then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, you guys, take your time getting ready. We don't want to rush out there. Let's at least get up to number 10 released before we, let things play out here. And so I was watching it, and it was very interesting. I was very excited to watch this last night. Were you at all? Were you aware that it was happening? Did either of you care? Were you interested to tune in to see where the teams were?
I did not watch it.
You did not watch the reveal.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
You guys both
I'm
suck.
generally like you. I don't usually really care very much, but and the team I root for is involved, at least in the conversation. So I should be excited about that, right?
Yeah, it's whatever formula they use, however they come up with it, that becomes your true ranking.
Right. Yeah, because it's a ranking that actually matters. Like it determines things.
And so for the initial college football playoff rankings, in at number 23, Kansas State. How about this right in a row? Kansas State 23, Oklahoma State 22, and Kansas 21. How about that? Just right there, buddy. How about that?
Boom, boom, boom.
You are living in a world on November 1st in the official college football playoff rankings where your team is ahead of Kansas State.
Yeah.
Say something about that.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It does matter right now because it shows what you've done so far this season. Get Lance. You know what? I'll text Lance Leipold right now. That is, I don't think I like that comment out of you. It does matter because they just didn't hand you that ranking. You earned that.
Well, to a certain extent. I'm sure that Oklahoma State fans would point out that they beat both KU and K-State, and they're ranked in between the two of them.
Yeah, but they're still ranked. So what?
Yeah.
Don't crap the bed in the non-con.
So I guess the point I'm making there is not that it matters that KU is ranked. That's fantastic. It is. It's huge. It's got to be big for them even when it comes to recruiting and
Absolutely,
and
it matters. Absolutely, it matters.
Yes. I just mean the part of KU being ranked ahead of K-State. I thought that's what you were asking for a comment for.
Well,
that part doesn't matter. They'll play each other.
That doesn't feel good at all?
No.
Not at all.
No.
You're such a liar. You just don't want to hear it.
No.
You don't want to hear any back talk from K-State fans.
They're going to play each other.
Right.
I mean, that's the problem I have with this whole ranking system thing is that in sports it comes down to, you play each other. That's how it's supposed to be decided. Not what Condoleezza Rice thinks of your football team, So I'm nervous about that game because I think KU's got a shot, and I don't know if they really do, but I believe they do this year. So I'm nervous about that game. So I don't want any motivation added to K-State's plate whatsoever. I think if I'm a KU fan, I'd rather K-State be ranked ahead of KU.
I don't think Condoleezza Rice is a part of the 2023 committee, is she?
I just was making a point. I don't know who's on the
Nate
committee.
thinks she is.
Will Shields is, though. What
there
about
you go.
that? Will Shields thinks KU belongs there.
You don't think Will Shields knows what he's talking about? Let me see. If that's what you think, say it. I'll get Will on the show too. Just say
You're trying to get me to criticize every former Chiefs player out there.
I'm not trying to get you to do anything. You're just doing things.
Kansas State Athletic Director Gene Taylor is a part of the committee.
Yeah. Maybe he thinks Kansas is better than Kansas State right now.
I doubt that. He might have voted him better to give K-State motivation. Who knows? Yeah. He also might not have voted them better. I mean, how many people are on this committee?
9. Oh, excuse me, no, not, I'm stupid.
Wow.
13.
Where'd you get 9 at? You just threw that out there quick.
I miscounted a row of 4 people.
Okay, I'll read you a little bit. Well, before that, we have to go up a little bit from Missouri here. Then
Bragger.
LSU was 14 and Missouri was 13, and LSU didn't like that. But you know what? LSU's got 2 losses.
Yeah.
No, I'm
It's your whole
sorry.
body of work.
Missouri's
I get it.
12. Missouri's 12. Sorry, 12. Did I say that right? 12. So LSU's 14 and Mizzou's 12. And LSU fans, well, we beat Missouri. Well, you have 2 losses. So you don't get to be with the 1-loss teams. I don't want to hear anything from LSU. LSU's the top ranked 2-loss team. Then Louisville, then Missouri. So Missouri got more love from the college football playoff rankings than they do from the actual rankings, because they were number 14 in the AP and number 14 in the coaches poll, and they're number 12 in the college football rankings. Which, all right, college football playoff rankings, I like that. And so Mizzou comes in at number 12. And if you're wondering about other Big 12 schools, Oklahoma's 9 and Texas is 7. And so then you talk about motivation or whether or not being slighted or disrespected in this poll could motivate a team. There were some Mizzou fans up in arms because Georgia came in number 2. And so now some people feel like, oh, Georgia's going to be pissed off. They're not number 1. Ohio State's number 1.
Uh-huh.
And so, I'm sure Kirby Smart will use that.
Yep.
And I was hoping Georgia would be number 1. But they come in number 2 in the college football playoff rankings. And so they were discussing the metrics that are used. Ohio State has played a much stronger schedule to date than Georgia. They have 2 top 15 victories over Penn State and Notre Dame. Georgia has 0 top 25 victories and a strength of schedule that ranks number 100 according to ESPN metrics. The Bulldogs have beaten only 2 FBS teams with winning records. And so that's why Michigan's played an even weaker schedule than Georgia, ranking number 111. Those metrics will change in the coming weeks, however, as both teams will hit the hardest part of their respective schedules. Georgia has games against number 12 Missouri, number 10 Ole Miss, and number 17 Tennessee over the next 3 weeks. And Michigan has number 11 Penn State and number 1 Ohio State remaining. So there you go. The heat will be turned up quickly. You still don't like it, huh?
I don't dislike it. I don't like the fact that this is how the people who get into the postseason are determined. I don't like that. I don't like that process. But it is what it is. The ranking itself is fine. It's good. Good fodder. Give us a conversation. It's something to brag about if you're in the top 25. I like that. I don't like Kansas being ranked above K-State. I don't like that.
College football playoff chair Boo Corrigan said that Ohio State deserved to be number 1. And then he said, as a group, the 13 of us in this room, Marco, there you go, 13, we felt this was the order for the top 4 slots. And the top 4 is Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State. Followed by Washington, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Penn State, Mizzou. That's your top 12. Oh, hell yes. I think it's, especially like for if you're a coach trying to build something like Eli Drinkwitz or like Lance Leipold, I think it's huge, man. You're trying to convince these kids, look, we got something going here. You want to come here. Come and play for us. This is real tangible evidence to sit, a recruit sits down or someone sits down to watch this and, oh, look, hey, there's Kansas number 21. Oh, look, Mizzou's number 12 in the college football playoff rankings. I'm quite sure that both coaches would say, it doesn't matter, and tell me where we're ranked at the end of the season, or whatever coach speak there is, but it means something. It means something to the fan base. It means something to the players, and it means something to recruits. It means something to everyone involved with the program. It's real, tangible evidence that you've got things headed in the right direction, and you're being, and right now for Mizzou, like I told you, man, this is for these last 2 weeks. This is like a tremendous advertising campaign, because all you keep hearing about, just like that little sentence right there about Georgia and how their schedule has been weak so far, and then you're reading this, and Georgia's going to hit the hardest part of their schedule coming up with games against number 12 Missouri. Like just being in that conversation and seeing the promos and the graphics for the big SEC doubleheader coming up on CBS. And now it says, it did say number 14 at number 1. Now it says number 12 Mizzou at number 2 Georgia. Eggplant emoji, I love it. And it's something that we have not seen. We have not seen all 3 schools involved in this thing. And so again, K-State, they're used to this. They're more used to this. Yep. They've had their taste of this.
Yep.
And so now, with the other fan base getting involved, the taste is very sweet. And I want more.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of when we had Lance Leipold on the show yesterday. I was trying to convey is that, to me, what makes that win over Oklahoma so special is that it's not just like hey, we're having another terrible season and somehow we caught Oklahoma on a bad day and we got this fluky victory. It is, we actually have a good team. This team is a part of the conversation week in and week out in college football now, where whatever game KU is playing, you feel like that's got a chance to be a really good game and you want to watch it. And to me, as a KU fan, like, that's all I've wanted for the past 15 plus years, right? Is just like to wake up on a college football game day and want to watch College Game Day because you feel like your team's a part of the conversation. And, man, they like legit are. And so to be 6-2, and this is another point of validation for if you're a KU fan, like, hey, man, look at us. We're in the rankings, not just the AP rankings for a week and then you drop out, but like this is the college football playoff ranking and KU's in it. So to that point you're making, yes, absolutely.
Dude,
huge news.
Just think where Mizzou was and where Drinkwitz was before the K-State game.
Right.
No, he better win. He better win this game. Better win one of these games, or this seat's going to get real hot.
Yeah.
That seat's not very hot right now, Nate.
No. Ice cold.
And then how I don't know how mid they looked in the non-con before K-State, and you're thinking, is this what is this? Are they holding some back a little bit before they get to the tougher part of the schedule? And apparently they were, at least on the offensive play calling and the game plan. But then you beat Kansas State, and look, I had this very weird reaction to the LSU loss because I normally I would have been furious and frustrated, and whatever else you want to say about it, because that the way they started off that game, it looked like they were gonna not only beat LSU but beat them handily, and then LSU just wouldn't go away. But it was like, you remember when in Anchorman, you remember when Baxter ate the whole wheel of cheese? And
I'm not even mad.
Yeah, Ron Burgundy's like, I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. Watching Jaden Daniels that game, and like I was like, after that, I was like, I'm not even mad. Jaden Daniels ate the whole wheel of cheese. He
was amazing that
right.
day.
And so now you did see different like Heisman lists, and he's like either number 1 or number 2 or number 3 in the Heisman, what do you call it? Heisman projections or Heisman hot sheet or whatever. and you see how good he is and how unbelievable that even though they have 2 losses, how unbelievable that offense is, and you're like, Missouri, man, they could have beat them. They went stride for stride with LSU, which arguably you could say LSU is the best offense in football, maybe in college football, and you could make an argument that kid's the best quarterback right now in college football. At least I saw one Heisman list last night that had him number 1, and so it's like I know some are taking the approach, if they just would have won that LSU game, or they just would have won that LSU game. Just the way that they played in that LSU game and the points they put up and how they were in it right to the end, and knowing now that LSU is good and that Jaden Daniels is a freaking stud and that LSU offense is loaded with NFL talent, especially at receiver. I mean, I'm not – that was – I feel better about Missouri and where they are, because LSU is really, really good, and they're right behind them in the college football playoff rankings. And normally I'd be just like, if they had that one freaking loss. You know what? If they don't have that kind of loss, maybe they don't win at Kentucky. Maybe they don't respond the same way, and they slip up someplace else. And so, that's all. I wanted to throw that out there. 'Cause I know some people were still having, regrets about how that game went. And like for Kansas, same thing. If they don't have a disappointing loss to Oklahoma State or whatever, maybe they don't win that Oklahoma game. It's just sometimes, look, it's unbelievably difficult to go undefeated or to be undefeated heading into November. And some teams let one loss become 2 or become 3. I mean, look at even K-State. They lost to Mizzou, and they lost to Oklahoma State. Now how good do they look?
They're killing people.
That's a sign of a good coach and a good, solid program. How do you bounce back from what do you do with a disappointing loss? How do you let it affect you? How do you move on from it? Do you learn from it? Does it make you better? Does it even make you in some ways a more dangerous team? And I think you can look at all 3 of these schools and be really impressed the way they dealt with some adversity from an early loss and how it's made each one of those teams a better football team right now. And it's exciting where they can go. Because some teams will let a bad loss or a disappointing loss or an upset loss derail their season or derail them for a month, and they can't come out of the tailspin. And I've been really impressed with the way all 3 teams have handled losses that they'd like to have back, but put themselves in a position where they can accomplish everything they want. It's all in front of them still. Mm-hmm. So, yes, it was very exciting. And I will invite you to be excited about this, because we are living in a world where all 3 schools are in this top 25, and I will have it.
Excite.
Right.
I had a buddy as soon as the KU Oklahoma game was over. A group of my buddies from KU that were texting each other, and guys I went to school with, and one of them said, "Boy, if we just hadn't let that Oklahoma State game slip away." And everybody else kind of jumped on him and said, "Man, no negativity today. We just beat Oklahoma." And the thing is, you're going to play a lot of these close games if you're KU, and that means that not all of them are going to go your way. The Oklahoma game could have easily gone the other way. So I don't, you can sit there and daydream and be like, wow, yeah, if KU had held on to that lead against Oklahoma State or converted that 4th down and found a way to win the game, they'd be 4-1 and in first place with all these other teams that are up there. But I think your point is more well made. And now KU, look, dude, you talk about being excited. I look at all the games left on KU's schedule, for example, at Iowa State, Texas Tech, K-State, and Cincinnati. And these next 3 games, I think, are all going to be close, hard-fought games that could go either way. I just looked at it. KU's a 2.5-point underdog at Iowa State this weekend. What a game that is. I mean, if KU can find a way to go win there, then they go up to 4-2, and Iowa State drops to 4-2 in the league. And somebody's losing between K-State and Texas, so there's going to be a 2-loss team. It's just like the race at the top of the Big 12 is really compelling, and Kansas is a part of it. And for a KU fan, like, how could you be anything but just absolutely thrilled to be a part of that conversation? Like you said, we don't talk about K-State as much because it's almost like that's just dog bites man. They're always good, and right. They're still a part of it right now, and they could. I mean, it wouldn't stun anybody if they went on to win the Big 12 again.
And just look at Oklahoma State. They lost to South Alabama and opened up the conference season losing at Iowa State, and they've won 4 in a row since then with wins over K-State and KU. And so all these teams have bounced back from some type of adversity. Iowa State as well. Iowa State, after they lost to Ohio, they go, what's this team going to be? And remember all the gambling and everything else. This is going to be a disaster. Oh, what happened to Matt Campbell? Blah, blah, blah. Well, now they're 4-1, and same thing. If they can somehow muster a win against Kansas, they'd be 5-1 with a win over a ranked team, and all of a sudden you're looking at their season much, much differently. So it's a wild college football season. Kansas, Kansas State, and Mizzou, all in the thick of it. Let's go. Back after this on WHP. Welcome back to the show. Nate, the 2023 College Football Playoff Selection Committee that you were criticizing, Chris Alt, Mitch Barnhart, Boo Corrigan, Chet Gladchuck, Jim Grobe, Mark Harlan, Ward Manuel, David Saylor, Will Shields, as Marco mentioned, Gene Taylor, as Marco mentioned, Joe Taylor, Rod West, and Kelly Whiteside. So there are your names.
Heck of a squad.
Anyone you need any info on? Anyone you didn't know who they were or want to know who they are? Or?
Most of them I didn't know.
Yeah.
I knew Will Shields and Gene Taylor.
There you go.
So that's good.
Yeah. You trust them, don't you?
Sure.
To get the job done right?
Right.
Do you trust Josh McDaniels to get the job done right?
Well, I don't think the Davis family does anymore.
Let me, I don't trust Mark Davis to get the job done right either. You know what? Go ahead and
You
let
trust him to have a good haircut?
No. Let him keep calling the shots with the Raiders. And so what I'm referencing is, in case you missed this overnight, the Raiders fired head coach Josh McDaniels and GM Dave Ziegler. And now the Raiders head coach is Antonio Pierce. He will be the 12th different person to coach a game for the Raiders over the past 20 seasons. 12 different people have been the head coach for the Raiders in a game over the past 20 seasons. That's including interims. That's the most of any franchise over that span. Pierce will be the 8th different coach for the Raiders since Mark Davis took over control of the team after Al Davis passed away in October 2011. Pierce joins Hugh Jackson, Dennis Allen, Tony Sperano, Jack Del Rio, John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, and Josh McDaniels. Those are all the head coaches that Mark Davis has enjoyed. And look, let me I'm there are many times on this show that I'm wrong about something. We all are wrong about things plenty enough on this show. But when the Raiders hired Josh McDaniels, we mocked that and laughed at that.
Yep.
And without hesitation, all of us just said, well, that ain't going to work. That's going to be a disaster. We'll see how fast they fire him. And here we are. How long did this last? Less than 2 years? And it's already over. The two combined for a 9-16 record. Lasted 25 games. Mark Davis makes the decision in the aftermath of a 26-14 loss to the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football, in which McDaniels, some would say an offensive genius, his offense managed just 157 total yards. This was just after a 30-12 demolition at the hands of the previously one-win Bears. I mean, it's like, unless it's someone that has covered the Patriots that still just can't get their heads out of the Patriot way and have not been moved by the repeated failures of different people that were under Belichick or with Tom Brady in New England, and you see it happening over and over again. We saw it happen up close here in Kansas City, right?
Yep.
But I mean, like, who?
Yep.
I mean, this was never going to work. And, like, there are so many good young coordinators or assistant coaches that have not been given the opportunity to be a head coach. And this guy already failed miserably in Denver once. He already showed what he was, and you know what? Sometimes it takes a second chance. Well, enough people that know football that we talk to, that I talk to, say, he's not going to be successful as a head coach. This is not going to happen. I mean, it was a disaster. And the Raiders, because the Raiders always believe they know more than the rest of the NFL, they just, hey, Josh McDaniels. Like, aren't you in the same division as the Denver Broncos? Didn't you see, did you not see what happened with him? What the hell is wrong with you? I'm glad.
Well,
I'm glad they did it. But this is like the most predictable outcome. This was always going to happen, and it's just baffling. It's baffling that he was given another chance, but it's not baffling that it was an absolute disaster that lasted only 25 games. Nate,
right. I was trying to think of. I mean, somebody, Curtis Siebold or somebody ought to put together a spreadsheet.
K-Dog.
Of how many millions of dollars have been handed to people who didn't deserve it simply because they were in Tom Brady's orbit. You know, like how many like I just think about how much money Charlie Weiss made in his career off of being associated with Tom Brady.
Why do you always got to drag Charlie Weiss through this? There's other names.
You know why?
You know why? Get off Charlie Weiss.
I watched him pile drive my alma mater's football program into the ground.
Wow.
And then get paid millions and millions of dollars to not be there anymore. And by the way, I still don't like the fact when he was there, it really never sat well with me when he said, you go 6-6 at Kansas, they'll build a statue of you. Just to try to make it seem like, it's impossible to win here.
Did he ever do that? Did he ever get there?
He never did.
Yeah.
Never sniffed it. And like Josh McDaniels, and we've talked for so long about Eric Bieniemy, waiting for opportunity after opportunity and not getting it. Well, this dude gets two chances. And why? Like, what has he done to show that he is this elite coach other than be around Tom Brady? It's crazy, man. Like, it's crazy to me how much money people have made off of being associated with Tom Brady. It's wild. But, when you said that about, like, the Raiders thinking, oh, well, it's going to work for us, even though we watched him fail with the Broncos, I don't know how many options they have because I don't know how many people want that job. Because that job is I mean, if it's like somebody like Josh McDaniels who, like, this is my only other chance to get a head coaching job again. Like, how many people that, like, if you think you're going to get offers, do you want to go be the head coach of that organization?
It's probably the same people that thought it was a good idea to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo and think that he was going to be, number one, healthy, and number two, good. Somehow reach that combination. What were the chances?
You don't think Devontae Adams thinks he's good?
No, I don't. I don't think so. And his 7 touchdowns and 9 interceptions suggest that he's not. And he's played in 6 games. He will not stay healthy, and he wasn't going to be that good outside of San Francisco. Sorry. Now, if you could get him,
such a smart aleck. If you
can get him to be, to somehow stay healthy, and surround him with the talent that he had and the coaching he had in San Francisco, then yeah, maybe, yeah,
right,
yes. But after he left that the security blanket of the San Francisco 49ers, like, what did you think he was going to be? But what does Josh McDaniels do? and the GM who also was from the Patriots, right? What do they go to sell Mark Davis? Oh, this is Jimmy Garoppolo. He knows the Patriot way. Come on. Let's get it done. We're all together in New England. Come on. We can make this happen.
Just like, look how well it worked with Matt Castle in Kansas City. Let's do that.
I'm just telling you, dude. You know, you know who makes that kind of decision? A guy that has a haircut like Mark Davis. That's what you expect.
Right. That's the kind of decision
you expect, like, who would make that decision for his football team? The same guy that would make that decision at his barber.
Right.
Like a guy that's cool with that hair is cool with Josh McDaniels and Jimmy Garoppolo coming to save the day. Like, oh, okay, it makes sense.
Sounds good.
You know, like visually, you can see who would make the decision. Show a picture of Mark Davis. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We get it. We'll take a break. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Hello, Kansas City. Stephen St. John here for Window Nation. The Twitter/X and Twitch and YouTube. Brought to you by J. Rieger & Co., Kansas City's original distillery. Visit jriegerco.com for more details. And don't forget, there's an exciting announcement coming soon from Jay Rieger and the University of Missouri. Mizzou fans can expect some special products. So we'll have that for you as soon as that happens right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. As Lebo has weighed in via text message and attempted to correct Nate and told indeed that Charlie Weiss did win 6 games at Kansas. So maybe there should have been a statue for him.
For his whole career.
Oh.
Not in one season.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we were confused.
Freaking Charlie Weiss.
Right.
I don't have to worry about those days anymore.
No, you don't.
My team's legit. My team's competitive. We have a real coach. And nobody's expecting Lance Leipold to have a statue just because he went 6-6 last year. Lance Leipold's not expecting a statue. I think what he would tell you is they expect more, you know.
Did you know that Josh McDaniels lasted longer as Broncos head coach than he did as the Raiders head coach? For the Broncos, he was the coach for 694 days. For the Raiders, only 639 days. So just came up just a little bit short there.
Close.
And in each game, I'm just disappointed the Chiefs don't get to see Josh McDaniels. In each game this season, the Raiders have scored 21 points or fewer, rushed for fewer than 100 yards, and committed at least one turnover. It's the first team to do so in each of its 8 games since 1941. So that's good.
Is it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it hasn't been done since 1941.
That doesn't necessarily make it good.
That's good for me. I liked watching it. I mean,
From where you sit.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You know,
Poor Raiders.
Yeah, well. See, people can always be worse. We'll be right back after this on WHB.